here at the Markham Avenue estate in Ashburton at the moment, which is due for demolition shortly. The last tenants are leaving today. It'll be bulldozed and made way for 180 private dwellings with just 60 social housing dwellings, and that's not public housing, mind you. Yes, public housing estates, like other public assets, I don't think there is enough appreciation or recognition or understanding in society that they actually belong to the public. They're just the government's to administrate. We own them. They have been paid for by our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents over decades in this country through their taxes. So they're not the government's to sell. And the Homeless Persons Union feels that because there is a lack of appreciation and understanding that public assets are the public's, the public owns them, we have seen little, if any, outcry about the imminent bulldozing and privatisation of the Markham Avenue estate. It's a foregone conclusion. It's part of the mass trend that has swept Australia over the past 30 years or so, privatisation of public assets. Yet there's something like 23,000 people homeless in Victoria, with lack of affordable and safe and secure housing. Now, why did the government abrogate its responsibilities to the Markham Avenue estate over a period of time? There was $500,000 slated for upgrade works in 2006 by the Bracks Labor government that were never undertaken, and they've allowed this estate to become dilapidated, which is, it's not really, it's just some surface works that need completing.
There's an acceptance that this encroaching privatisation is okay, that it's seen that, well, who's going to look after it, when there was a responsibility that in our social contract with the state that they would take care, that things will be looked after so that we could enjoy a community collectively. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It's first a public toilet, then it's a park, then it becomes public housing or a road toll, public transport we've lost. We spoke earlier about Tullamarine. These are all assets that were owned by the public and now have been privatised because the government, neoliberalism, has swept the country, and it's become part of our discourse, part of our narrative, and we're not questioning it because we see it as that we don't have a responsibility to each other anymore, and that this private, and that this I'll look after myself and what happens to you is your problem, mate, is something that's crept into Australian culture, and we're paying for it as a community. If we can't provide for the people that are most vulnerable and most damaged by the cuts inflicted by capitalism, where do people go? The union believes, as people that have experienced homelessness or are homeless and understand what people who have experienced disadvantage are going through, we need to understand that the flip side of free market economics and this so-called liberal democracy is a capitalist totalitarianism where private ownership rules and the views of those who own wealth and have access to resources dominate the views of the collective. That's what we need to understand, because if we fail to grasp that, we will lose public health, public education and public housing. We are slowly losing it, and if we don't wake up and smell the coffee and make our voices heard on these issues, we will be forced into, people will be criminalised and forced into prisons and I'm back onto the street.
There's an obligation on us as the people to hold the government to account. At the moment, we seem to be taking on this Oliver Twist powerless role where we're going along cap in hand to government and saying, can we have our human rights? But we don't need to. They're already our human rights. I think that needs to be the real shift, is reclaiming our power as people and ensuring that government can't abuse our human rights. It's time for the people to say enough's enough and rally behind everybody else. Australia, advance Australia fair, a fair go. Not, I'm all right, Jack, keep your hands off of my stack. Because if we keep going down that path of being divided and conquered, it's only going to get worse.